enormous interest in India. What do you have to say about the welcome he received in India, sir?
Well, we are very happy of this possibility of Lionel Messi and his team coming to India. It's a great satisfaction for us. Of course, this tour was not organized by the Argentine government or the Argentine embassy, but although that, when he came to Delhi, I went to the airport to greet him, and we saw with great satisfaction so many people carrying their Argentine jackets, the Argentine shirts, and the joy that they express for the figure of Messi. So we thank him very much for this.
So was it unexpected? He's so much fan base for Messi. Yeah. Though it is he's very popular everywhere, but the kind of warm welcome he received in India, was it unexpected, sir?
Well, I expected, but one thing is to expect, another thing is to see, to watch, to observe so many people wearing the Argentine football team shirt in such huge quantities of people in a so far away country. So that was very emotional for me and for my team, for all the people in the embassy.
Is there a greater scope for cooperation between the two?
Well, it can be expanded, it can be enhanced. I think football is a sport that it is becoming more popular here, although your national sport is cricket. But Messi is so popular, and I think you are so fond of Argentina in the last World Cup that was expressed. So I think that it will emerge many maybe football schools, and I think that will evolve more.
Sir, are these cooperation in discussion, like schools you mentioned?
I know that there are some, but it's not something that the government is doing. No, it is something that arises from down to up and in the private sector, which is much better, because if you depend on what the government does, it will take too long, no, and not very effective.
So what does it say about the culture in the two countries? Is it giving a push towards?
Well, the links between the two countries in cultural terms is they even predate the independence of India, because there were some original links between Argentina and India in the cultural scene. For example, in the encounter between Tagore and Victorio Campo in 1924, 1925, when he was in Argentina. And as a matter of fact, we are going to celebrate this, especially this year in January next year in 2026, since Argentina was selected as the focal team country for the Kolkata International Book Fair. So we are very happy for that opportunity, and we think that culture is a bridge between peoples, although we are so far away, no?
Yes, sir.
And although we belong to different cultures. Yeah.
So, where are they moving?
Well, currently India is Argentina's sixth largest trade partner. The trade relationship between the two countries is $5 billion, which for Argentina is an important figure. Currently, Argentina is number one provider of soybean oil. We are number 3 in terms of sunflower oil. There are also some important mining investments from Indian companies in Argentina, for example in lithium, for example in the province of Catamarca in the northern states of the country. And there are many other possibilities of expansion of this cooperation, for example in energy and in other fields.
So the primary sectors are agriculture,
mining,
sir.
Yes.
But are there any untapped potential and sectors that you are looking forward to have an engagement with India?
I think in energy it's something that we can expand the cooperation, and also in agriculture there are more possibilities. In order that Argentina is the 8th largest country in the world, India is the 7th, but the economies of the two countries enjoy a high degree of complementarity. And in agriculture, there are two countries that have a huge experience, each of them, and we can learn one from the other. Recently, we signed an agreement between ICR here and INTA, and the equivalent institution in Argentina, to exchange investigation, research, and experiences in this matter. So I think it will be even more cooperation. And as I was telling you, Argentina is a huge country with a diversity of climates, a possibility of producing food for hundreds of millions of people. But the population in Argentina is relatively small. It's only 50 million, a little less than 50 million. So the domestic consumption in Argentina is not so big. So that provides the opportunity for a country as India of having a reliable food security provider.
What are the physical distances? How can we balance it? How can we overcome it? Is there any plan for the two connectivity?
Well, the physical distance is impossible to be solved, but technology is evolving all the time. So one day, I think there will be even possibility of having a direct connection. Today, currently, it is easy to go to Argentina. It is very far away, but it's easy. With only one stop, you get there. From any major European city or from cities in the Gulf, you get there. Of course, the flight is too long. It's more than 20 hours flying. But what I mean is that people imagine that they need to make 2, 3, 4 stops, and it's not the case. With only one, you can go. But there are many other possibilities regarding this so important relationship that for us is becoming so important. As for the rest of the world, since India is becoming a so important country, you are already the 4th largest economy, you're going to be the 3rd largest economy. So we are very happy with this possibility. This year was a very positive year in the bilateral relationship. The Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, went to Argentina. We are very grateful for that. In July, he visited President Milei. It was a wonderful opportunity. I had the opportunity to be there during those talks in the presidential palace in Argentina. And so we think that this 2025 marked a very important step in this 75-year friendship.
Sir, is there any plan to have a direct to India?
No, but direct flight from Argentina to India is not possible today because there are no commercial airplanes able to fly more than 20 hours non-stop. So it is technically impossible to have that. The flights today in this world that we have, that they are flying, I think the maximum is 17 hours. There's, I think, a flight from London to Sydney and something like that. I think it's 17 or 18 hours. But still, if you fly from any Indian citizen to any city in Argentina or in South America, it will take more than 20. So it's not possible right now. But maybe, who knows, in a couple of years, technology evolves and maybe we can have planes that are able to fly. But I don't think that's going to happen in the upcoming years.
So Argentina is part of the Lithium Triangle.
Yes.
And we inked a deal, Argentina and India, on lithium. So how is it faring, and are more Indian private and public players interested in lithium?
Well, currently there are some companies, Indian companies working there in Catamarca. Catamarca is a state a province in the north of Argentina. The governor, which is equivalent of a chief minister of that state, was here, Raúl Jalil, early this year, and they are working very good. And other possibilities of other mining developments are under study. There was a visit of the Ministry of Steel and some companies in the sector recently. I think in September they went there, and they were studying the possibility of finding other areas in which they can work, not only in that province, but in other provinces, in Salta, Jujuy, and other northern provinces, or San Juan, for example. There are huge possibilities of mining cooperation.
So are there any talks also on technology transfer when it comes to lithium?
Well, the companies work together. There might be some of that technology exchange. I don't know to what extent, because it's fortunately those cooperations or those works are done by private companies. So that's very positive, I understand. So I don't have the details on that. It's something that is working on the private sector, and I think that's one of the reasons it's working so good. So, but I can imagine that a lot can be done on that issues.
So Argentina is a member of Mercosur. We have a PTA with the bloc, and we are expanding on. The talks are underway to expand on it. How are talks progressing? Do you have any idea of how are talks progressing, and what will be the benefit for Argentina?
Well, the Argentina is a founding member of Mercosur, among with Brazil, Paraguay, and Uruguay. The bloc was founded in 35 years ago in the Asunción Treaty in March 1991. And there is an agreement, as you said, of preferential trade agreement between India and Mercosur that was signed, I think, in 2004, and it came into effect, I think, 2009. But it's limited to a number of products. So there is a consensus among the members of the bloc, and I think in the Indian side too, that that agreement should be expanded, should be deepened. And I think there is an important consensus in that sense, at least among the members. Now the Brazilian presidency of Mercosur is ending. Paraguay will be the new will have the chair of the bloc for the next 6 months, and I hope that could evolve to a positive evolution, let's say, a development. And I think it is possible. I don't know if it's going to happen immediately, but I think it's possible.
But there is no timeline, sir.
Sorry?
There is no timeline for the.
Well, you know that these negotiations, sometimes they put timelines, but then those timelines, unfortunately, they are not always fulfilled, and that can be expensive. But what I've observed, let's say, during talks that I had been having here with people in the Indian government, and also with my colleagues from the other ambassadors from the other countries of the bloc, is that there is a consensus on this. I think there is an agreement on that, basically because of the fact that our economies, Argentina's economies, but not only Argentina, the rest of the countries of the Mercosur, those economies and the Indian economies are they enjoy a high degree of complementarity, high degree. And also we are in different areas and in different time of the year. So when you are producing one thing here, you don't have in the other for the seasonal reasons. So I think it is for the mutual benefit of India and our countries, and Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, and Uruguay. So I don't observe major problems in order to get that, but then bureaucracy has to be sidelined, no? So in order to get that. I hope it's possible.
Sir, what all sectors will be benefited if there is, according to you?
I think many of them, most of the most relevant sectors in the economy in India and in our countries, no? I think it will be very possible. Argentina, but the same can be said for other countries. We can produce even more to a country as India, because of this situation of that the domestic consumption there is not so large. So I think that can be achieved, and it can be very positive for us, and for you.
Numbers for the trade between the two countries evolving in coming future?
Well, currently there is $5 billion trade. It is an important number. If you compare to some years ago, it has evolved a lot. 5 or 6 years ago, the Indian-Argentine relationship was elevated to the rank of strategic partnership. At that time, if I'm not wrong, we are talking about the year 2019. The trade between the two countries was, I think it was around 2.5 billion. So today is the double or even more. So there is more room to grow. Of course, at the same time, we need sometimes that from the Indian side a little help, because you have very high import taxes, no? And not only with us, of course, but and I think that for the good of the Indian people, for the good of the Indian consumers, that will be good if you can access to more products from other markets. So in that sense, the trade could be even better.
So reduction of tax are part of talks?
Well, it is always, but it doesn't, it's not something that we decide, no? Right. But it is, in any country in the world, there are, of course, protectionism has its own people that think that is good. We, in my country, we are convinced that free market economy is better, and as much as possible, the competition is as much as possible, and the minimum regulation possible, that's better. And if you have lower taxes, people can have access of more and more products of more quality and lower prices, and you can compare products from one place or the other. So I think in the long term that's good for the Indian consumers. But it's not something that I decide. It's something that it has to be decided by the Indian authorities.
So my last question would be about this year. Are there any plans for high-level visit from Argentina?
Well, I hope the next year, because this year is ending in a few days, I hope we could have the reciprocal visit of the president, I hope, or at least some ministers. I know that some ministers might come, and also governors, or the equivalent of chief ministers, might come. So I hope soon we can announce a concrete visit. But that will have to take place in 2026, because 2025 is we have just, I think, 11 days or 12 days till the end of the year, and I take the opportunity to send in my best wishes for this Christmas and for the New Year and for all the Indian people and the friends here.
Thank you so much.
No, thanks to you.